Welcome, Royal Lair. Welcome. Salutations to you too. Welcome. I hope you're well. Thank you for being here. We'll wait. We'll wait until a few show up. At least that I know some people are here. If not, any amount. Hello, Kimiko. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. And there you are, Ira. Hello. Welcome. Settle in. Make yourself a cup of tea. Jules, hi from New York. Wonderful, couldn't be better. I hope you're well too, Ira. It's a beautiful, beautiful evening here. September can be extremely hot, but it makes swimming very enjoyable. So there's good and bad of everything. Oh, I'm glad. Kimiko. You know, my Hungarian name is Ildiko. Sounds sort of similar. We'll give everyone just a few more moments to come in. Yes. And I'm from Hungary, not from the Orient. So we'll give it just a few more minutes, and then I'll officially begin. You're Hungarian and Italian. What does that mean? Does that mean, Jules, that your mother is Hungarian, your father's Italian, or vice versa? There's a fairly volatile combination. There you are, broken. Oh, look at all these nice people are back. Yes, is that it? Well, which one was it? Because I said vice versa. Jules, is it mom was Hungarian? Yes or no? Yes? So, do you speak Hungarian, Jules? Beszélhetek magyarul veled? I speak Hungarian a little. Mother Hungarian, father. Beszélsz magyarul? I'm asking you in Hungarian if you speak Hungarian. No, no one does call me that anymore. No. It's an interesting language. Yes, many parents, maybe because of the division of languages, they didn't speak the same language. But Hungarian is a very unique language in Europe. Very few languages are like it, which is why my parents had such a hard time learning English. Cuss word. I didn't even know that my parents were saying cuss words because I didn't realize what they were saying. I had no reference. I only heard them speak Hungarian. So I think we're a good number here. So I'll officially begin. So welcome to the Soul Show, to the inner sanctum of the Temple of Consciousness, where all time is simultaneous. And we all try to access an infinite number of inner universes hiding in us. The soul show, yes. So this is the special little, I have many gongs, many. And I often bring them to the beach where I teach. This one is tuned to the highest chakra, the chakra that connects us to the spiritual world at the very top of our head. So I'll sound it for us, and that way it will provide the tone for the evening. So we're ready. I hope all of you have been well. And thank you, everyone, for those who have joined into the chat and those who are just watching. I so appreciate your attendance to be here, to join with us, uniting in consciousness and becoming more soul aware. Today, I had a conversation by chance with someone about reincarnation. And they were Christian. So, at the moment, at least, Christianity does not permit of the idea of reincarnation. And because we're a predominantly Christian culture here in America, at least, we are not as open to the idea, or perhaps even knowledgeable about how reincarnation could work on a subconscious, superconscious, spiritual level. I wanted to, because this is per the conversation I was having today. There are no accidents, by the way. You see, all of our thoughts have a sort of electromagnetic reality to them. What you think draws things to you. If you think that your thoughts are irrelevant, let's just put it that way, to the conditions you find yourself in life, be they good or bad, then it's a good picture to draw in your mind of the electromagnetic quality of thoughts. This is very important as a sort of foundation for understanding um, inner and outer reality. This electromagnetic property of thoughts has a real magnetic power. It draws to you, brings to you what you want and desire, as does a magnet. So you need to simply look around at the life you have right now. And if you evaluate your circumstances, your situation, as not being an exact replica of your ideals, your dreams, your desires, then this is really good news to know this about thoughts, that they are magnetically charged. So if your thoughts then gather together within your belief structures, those things that you hold to be dear and true, that you are absolutely convinced on a subconscious and conscious level, or both, that this is real, that this is true. Those are solid beliefs, and your thoughts are filtered through those belief structures. And sometimes these beliefs are so ingrained, so deep and personal that you don't even know that you may have them. You don't realize the power that they have over your circumstances, your situation. So, this is why you have to become self reflective. Reflecting over what you're thinking, what you're believing at any particular time in your life. Because your life will be like a mirror, an eventual mirror, reflecting it back to you. You have to sort of go inside your own thoughts and beliefs and discover if there's anything that you are allowing your thoughts to be influenced by that may be getting in the way of you manifesting the reality that you want to live, that you want to manifest. You see, things don't just happen to us, they happen because of us. And again, this is very, very, very good news. Because you see, then, with self reflection, with effort, with determination, you can take back the power to change your life. And this is regardless of how bad things might even seem at the moment, or not. I say this because I wanted, as a sort of prelude to the discussion I had today with the lady at the coffee shop, is that nothing is random. Your always the one who is has the power to make the changes in your present life that need to be made. And it helps us to see that first and then discuss what it might be like actually to have more than one life. And actually to have more than one life simultaneously. Because you see, our concept of time is illusory. It's a part of, it's a camouflage. It's not real. We agree upon time, sort of like a handshake and a wink. I'll meet you at 4 p.m. somewhere, and it's very convenient where we can conduct our social life well with the overlay of this net called time that we've created ourselves. But time itself does not exist. Not here in this realm or any realm, really. It's an illusion of things occurring in a linear fashion, past, present, future, like a arrow, forever traveling in one direction. So we have to kind of rethink things when it comes to reincarnation, because we can't think of our past lives as such, because those lives are being lived right now, in this very moment that we're breathing and being. We were always taught to conceive of time as that arrow pointing to the future. But in fact, and you'll feel this and experience this within a dream, that you can live a past moment as if it were occurring in the moment. And you can live a future moment as if it were occurring in the present. But that's the nature of sort of cosmic reality. So we live a sort of multiplicity of lives. Shakespeare must have been a sort of a mystic when he said that all the world is a stage. It is. And all of us are actors playing a role within a historical setting with historical props that we en masse create with our conscious mind. We create every single reality that we live in. And if you could see it as multiple stages on which we are all acting out our role. We agree beforehand, before we incarnate into these plays. We agree with others that we will meet, and we will use the time, the illusion of that time, and the illusion of the relationships and circumstances in order to learn. But what's astounding, you see, is that when you think of things happening simultaneously, you can no longer think of cause and effect, because cause precedes effect. So you can't even think of any particular lifetime as being a reward or a punishment for any other lifetime, sort of karmically in debt from one life to the other. Because each of our lifetimes are stages, have their own purpose, have their own themes. And those who are involved in a particular historical epoch together may be working on a particular problem of the era. Each individual playing their part towards its solution, or failing to do so. In both instances of failure and success, there's learning. There are many religions that teach you about punishment. And I think the idea of reincarnation for the Judeo-Christian religions was too dangerous, because you sort of had to have an escape route. If you were bad, you could always come back and just try it again. And they didn't want you to have that opportunity. It's this time, come hell or high water, you see. But that doesn't in any way erase the reality of it, which has been revealed by mystics, those who have a gift to see the inner universes. As the scientists peer out into the outer universe and look for answers there. So no, life is far more complex. You are far more complex than you can possibly fathom yourself. It's hard to think of being in two places at once for our conscious mind, this conscious mind. We can't do it. Simultaneously, I'm here and then I'm over there as well. I'm having this life and I'm having that one. How can that be? But if you just entertain the possibility of this being real, then what you've done is you've opened up your own potentiality, the deep well of who you are, so that never again could you feel inadequate, less than, insignificant. I think sometimes the entire materialistic philosophy of this particular time has such psychological there isn't a word almost to describe how harmful believing that you came from nothing and you'll go to nothing is. And so ridiculously different from what you really are. The conclusions that have been reached via the scientific process are almost ludicrous when it comes to the human consciousness. Ridiculous, in fact. The very thing, the conscious mind that is doing the analysis of nature, has been disregarded as having significance. It's there's no telling how silly that is, but with very dire psychological consequences for humanity. Which is why it's I think time for us to let that go and to return to sanity and to become the spiritual beings that we really are, unashamed of it, unashamed of believing in the simultaneity of time and lifetimes. So that was per our conversation. Now, I thought it would be interesting if anyone wanted a reading this evening that we might ask about a corresponding life, some universe in which you live that has some bearing on this one. That would be an interesting thing. I'm just throwing it out. You don't have to. I'm just throwing it out. If not, if you want a personal reading about anything else, we can do that. All right, so let me read and just speak with you. Simultaneity, yes. Yes, that arrow. I always think of it as the arrow being shot out of the bow of the centaur, Sagittarian centaur. What does it mean when you see things before it happens? It means that you're allowing your mind to expand, to sort of break down the barriers of common perception, seeing only the real world in front of you. There's always internal information, data coming to you, but fear or just a lack of interest, being constantly looking for distractions, may not let you see the inner data about future things, about the future in general, about your future in general. We're always being informed. It's not even as if from the present we're casting out our consciousness into the future, but it might be on occasion that the future you is casting back to you information and data about their circumstances, their situation, the consequence of the decisions, the choices, the thoughts that you're having in the moment. There really is no barrier, no wall between you and your future self, or even your past self, or even your reincarnational self. They all exist presently. The moment, this moment, is where everything is, and everything will always be. It can't be anywhere else. And yet, if you really try to capture the moment, it's like a little fish that's slippery, slips right out of your. As soon as you put your hands around it, it's gone. The moment's gone. Yet everything exists in it. It's quite ironic indeed. So nothing, it says that you're open, you're getting open, and you should stay open to it. Hello, Mr. Mensa. That's so sweet. How's your kitty? Mr. Mensa has a cute kitty cat. Tell him all about it, Mr. Mensa. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I enjoy talking about these subjects because sometimes we live almost like in a cultural straitjacket of consciousness. Everyone wants a polite conversation about things that are easy to talk about, easy, unprovocative thoughts, And so that puts a sort of straitjacket on your thinking that is hard to remove. It's like glued on, and you have to take it off. Be aware that it's there and just let it go, because then you open up your conscious mind into its subconscious, superconscious potentialities. Mr. Black Cat is out, stays out to all hours. You have no cat flap, so tend to wait up for him. Well, I have a cat named, I don't have such a noble name. My cat is named Scooter. And she also likes to go out in the evening. And she may want to come in. Sometimes we have tremendous storms here. And these storms come up quickly and unpredictably. And so sometimes my little Scooter is out there and wants to come in, and I don't realize that it's raining. So, yeah, I know what you mean. I worry too. You're welcome, Ira. Can we also cast back? Mr. Mensa is asking. Can we also cast back to sort of change mistakes and regrets? Absolutely. Absolutely. This is something that seems even more incredible. I suppose the idea of casting into the future that is not yet in our way of conceiving of time is easier for us to imagine than casting back into the past, which seems written in stone, done, made into concrete. But in fact, again, time is simultaneous. Everything exists in the moment. Almost, if you could just imagine it as oh, the eye, the compound eye of an insect, cells of events living, pushing against each other, all still vibrant, alive, and creating. That's how rich in events and impossibilities is the world of matter and the world of spirit. So yes, I often go back because when we're younger, we make mistakes. We regret. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have done that. I wish I hadn't have done that. I wish I could apologize. I wish that I would know better. And you see, what you are is now the future you of who you were. And you now have the power to cast back your wisdom, your grace, your experience, and to help your younger self who hasn't the benefit yet of all that. And they will be influenced by it. So the reality of what happened because of the mistake can qualitatively change, and therefore change your present. And nothing exists without influencing the other. Everything exists in simultaneity, vibrating all together. So improvement can occur on all levels. It's the will, the intent that changes things. So I suppose that's fairly detailed, but I think it's to point. So let me read. I'm doing very well, King. Let's see. What do you think you were? What do I think I was? Well, so again, we're thinking a little linearly by that question, Jules. What do I think I was? Again, as if it were in the past. It's not in criticism of you. No, I do that myself. What were you in your past life? It's just a sort of habit, both of thinking and of conversation to try to convey what we want to know. But I believe that when we connect with the feeling of ourselves, all the things that we want to manifest, to want to be, that one simple, short lifespan cannot possibly give you enough time, space between your birth and your death. Nonetheless, you know within you that you have these potentials, that you have these recesses of talents, parts of yourself that maybe your circumstances, maybe the life you were born into isn't giving you the opportunity to develop, such as there are many people who become doctors, but who have a deep wish to be a musician, perhaps of equal or lesser internal value to them, but nonetheless is there. These are the kinds of inner psychic clues there are as to the kind of life you might be living now, both in another historical epoch and also perhaps even in your future self, in your future life here, in this epoch, in this time period. I've, in this lifetime, have moved a great deal. And somewhat of a gypsy in that regard. Sort of having the entire world as my home, being kind of comfortable where I find myself. And I think that, or feel that this is some theme that runs through lifetimes for me. That I'm trying to untether myself from the usual loyalties, national, racial, cultural loyalties. That's the theme I feel is sort of running through my lives, and how that manifests in each one of them are we can only travel down the psychic road in exploration of those lives in a sort of tangential way from our perspective here. This consciousness that we have is so, again, taken up, hypnotized by the drama, the traumas, the loves, the joys, the 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 things that go on in this life, that there isn't enough conscious material left over almost to do the kind of inner exploration it would take to really go into all the other lives being lived. But they're there, and they absolutely message us, relay to us through dreams, through impulses, through just a feeling of ourselves, who we are individually. My compound eye, yes, I love insects, and their eyes are mesmerizing too when you see them. I think that the multiple probable universes of physics was, where they see bubbles, uh, trillions of bubbles living side by side, comes from that compound eye of the insect phenomenon. Believe me, scientists are uh, just as influenced by the natural world in their imaginings as we are. All right, so let me go back. So, yes. Too confusing and distracting. Well, many people feel that way, absolutely. But you can train yourself to find a kind of inner sanctuary away from the problems and responsibilities of any of your life, where you can just sort of lay and wait for whatever impression. Give yourself a suggestion before you do as to what kind of information you might like to have come into that inner sanctuary. But then lay there and just lay there. Don't think. Don't become distracted by the problems and situations of your life, even of your own identity, the name you have, the identity that you've donned in this particular life. And just lay there as you would before you knew your name. And wait. That's what it's about, just in sort of high anticipation. It's like that. That's the way you can know without being distracted or disturbed by the information. Anyway, about past lives. Well, past, future. They're there too, Mr. Mensa. Your future lives are there too. Future incarnations are there too. In future situations, 2090, 3050. What will the world be like? Pardon me, I'm going to have some tea. Just hold on. There we go. So if you have any questions or any comments, please feel free. If anyone wants a reading, please feel free. And or we've already been here. Oh my goodness. 50 minutes. Wow. It's amazing. Let me know. I'd like to do maybe about an hour or so and then bid you adieu. If you have nothing you need to discuss, I think I've explored the idea of reincarnation to some degree and made it. I'd love it if I could somehow put it into film. Wouldn't it be an interesting film to try to depict the reality of reincarnation? There are a lot of movies now, by the way, that are trying to do that. The sort of traveling back and forth through time movies. They kind of hint at the same concepts. So there is an attempt to, I don't know, explore the idea. But films generally have to fall back on the fear factor. Something tragic has to happen, and some silly love situation might be intrusive of the kind of extraordinary phenomenon that reincarnation really is, it goes beyond, again, just about you learning your own lessons, because there's an overarching theme to every epoch that we are incarnated into. As look at the themes of our culture, the raping of nature, of the earth, the total disregard of all the other animal kingdoms and their role, their part to play, their consciousness and its relevance to the health of ourselves and of them and of the earth herself. These are overarching themes. Our theoretical ability to destroy ourselves, the earth, and nature. It may be exaggerated, but even if it were not true, that seems to be a driving theme, sort of being put on the edge of total destruction, having that kind of power, and what we do with it. This is the theme, the overarching cultural theme we all participate in, and we play out our roles. We offer solutions, or we are part of the very problem. And so we learn by it. We learn deep lessons, soul lessons. Oh, there you are, honey. I'm sorry I wasn't looking. All right. So, yes, Ava, please, I would love a reading on which parts of me are best expressed now in this moment of life that can be of great service to others and myself. I feel called to be visible, but you're shy. Yes. Well, that's a beautiful, beautiful question, Kamiko. Okay. All right. Let's see. Give me a moment. So these are the cards, as you can see, or not. It's dark in my inner sanctum. So, but hopefully if I put the card there, you'll be able to see it. I want to make sure that the cards are all touched by me and that I'm infusing in them the energy of the question that you've asked. So there, and I'm going to put in 2 reversals only, and there are 78 cards. So that's not many. And so let's turn them over and take a few moments. You know, everyone can help out there. Collective consciousness to, right now, here in the moment, to feel her question and to help bring in the answer. See that, Kamiko? That's the Page of Swords. The page is generally represents very young and youthful energy. Someone who is at the threshold of an intellectual journeying at the beginning, at the first stages of intellectual mastery. This is writing, speaking, and novel thinking, new thinking, thinking that is about new concepts, new ideas, being at the forefront of new ideas. Their passion, the page, their passion is expressed through concept, through idea, through discussion, through intellectual stimulation. Again, you're born into this world here, into this particular overarching cultural theme, as well as into a family that has their own themes, and even a private, more personal world around you that has its theme, which is very well known to you. And so through the prism of your character, you are to express those various themes that are part of your DNA, part of your life experience where you are now, and to organize them intellectually so that you can communicate through writing, through media, what it is that is your unique expression, being who you are without fear, and not being daunted by what you don't know, because the page is a youthful mind, isn't afraid of having to climb the hill. You have the energy, the stamina to climb the hill. The intellectual hill, the hill, the mindful hill. It's about learning and teaching and speaking. So hold on. Well, I'm just feeling the card. It's pure air, you see. It's all air. No mixture. There isn't any earth in it. There isn't any water. All air. meaning that you have a gift. Some of us are born with the inability really to develop ourselves intellectually. That doesn't mean that that person doesn't have in their other lives or in their soul capacity intellect. Of course not. But in a particular life, they may not need it. They may not. In fact, it would be interfere with their particular destiny to be intellectual. So never judge anybody for their lack of ability to use reason. But there's others like you, apparently, Kimiko, who are more capable of developing their intellect, their ability to communicate, to share through the word, through the through concept. And so I believe that Spirit is saying, don't hold back. Develop yourself, develop your mind, and then stay who you are. And the two things together will prove to be extremely rewarding for you. So thank you, Kamiko. Singeman. I love your names. Oh, yes, Kamiko. Yes, it's true, Kamiko. I'm glad. Yeah, you have, that's quite a responsibility too, you know. When we are given a gift like that and it's something extraordinary, then it's, then we have to live up to it. uh, so, but the life we can then, at the end, when we look back at it, we'll be so glad for it. So now, Singeman, I got so bored, so I learned the hardest Shaolin weapon, the meteor hammer. What could that be? What could that be? That doesn't sound safe. Anything with a hammer and a meteor put together can't be safe. But they handle them, I'm sure, deftly. At least I hope so. So good. All right. Like the film Cloud Atlas. What film is that? Cloud Atlas. I haven't seen that one, Mr. Mensa. I might look for it, see if I can find it. I enjoy movies about the subject, even if they're not done well. It's just, it's nice to see the effort, Good. Look at that. About quitting your job. Yes, I remember. I did. I told them yesterday was my last day. I'm having second thoughts, though, since I haven't signed any. Aha! That's how it is. Yes, it is. It's always that way. Yeah. Oh, here we go. Broken Gong. Please pull a questionless card. You like that, don't you? All right. All right, I will. Just give me a moment. Just because there's no question doesn't mean that we pay any less attention to the process. So here we go. All right. So I've removed the reversals from the cards and broken gong. All right. So what a beautiful evening it is here in Florida. The crickets are singing. It's quiet and warm. Here we go. Hold on to your hat. Oops. All right. Oh, we're getting court cards. The Queen of Pentacles. The Queen of Pentacles. And this is interesting, isn't it? So she's fire and earth, both. You want to think of her, this whole energy, as very nurturing. This is Mother Earth, mothers, motherhood, the wanting to care for and nurture and be nurtured. Nature, feels like a place in which you are comforted, being comforted by nature, using nature to give yourself a feeling of being loved, of belonging, and of being happy within the simplicity, the simple things of life. You see, she doesn't need glamour. She doesn't need the usual rewards, the excesses. She has a sort of frugality of needs. She lives totally content with the love of family, the beauty of nature, and the opportunity to serve through her labor, through her willingness to sacrifice, to care, to give. These things bring joy to the Queen of Pentacles. Watching someone eat something she's prepared and enjoying the expression on their face is all the reward she needs. It might be a remedy, speaking to you as a remedy, or it might be simply a congratulations on the life you're living. So it could be a prescription that would help to heal you, or it is a pronouncement of how well you're doing. Either way, it's a beautiful, beautiful card. She's only second in command next to the Empress, who represents the universe itself, all of material reality. She carries the earthly crown. So all things natural are for her. This is holistic healing. This is holistic eating. This is herbs. This is all that which might be pertinent to you and should be drawn into your world to be as natural as you can be. There you go. So here we go. Thank you, Broken Gong. I hope that helped or was interesting. And thank you, Kamiko. It's nice to hear from Spirit, isn't it? They always have the most beautiful things to say to us. Yes, that's right. And it's interesting because the Page of Swords, whom you received, Kamiko, is quite different from what Broken Gong, almost antithetical, antipod. Oh, isn't that nice? Yes, of course, the spirit knows what your question is without having to tell anybody else. That's why when I pondered the thought of doing these kinds of readings, so public, that you can keep even your question private, your identity private, everything private, because Spirit knows you, understands your question before you even ask it. So, yes, that's why I thought, well, certainly will be interesting to see what kind of things come up during these sessions we're having together. Yes, and it can be that way. You just have to trust trust in the presence of spirit always. Being connected, yeah. Can't write fast enough. Does anyone else have anything to say about the subject or any subject? I like this uh, environment for discussions about the occult, things that might be on your mind or not. If you want to discuss anything else, of course, but it just seems appropriate for the mood of this event together, connected with each other like this over time and space. Yes, everything about life is extraordinarily beautiful. When I was walking down the street once and I beheld the most beautiful flower I'd ever seen. It was sort of like three flowers in one blooming inside the other, blooming inside that bloom. It was just sort of absolutely fascinating. So I was bewitched by it. I stopped immediately and stared right into it. I couldn't believe how gorgeous this flower was. So I stood there for a good, I don't know, I must have been 5 minutes, which is long for doing something like that. A gentleman came by and asked if I was in distress. I said, no, no, I'm fine. And I said, but the flower is so beautiful. And then he looked at it and he said, oh, yes, that's beautiful. But he was too busy. He had to go. So, yes, so many things to marvel at in life. So it's the witching hour here, 10 to 9. If no one else has any more questions, then we can bid adieu soon. And I'll get my. I like I like to sound things to both start and end a session. I'm glad to hear that, Mr. Mintz. Glad to hear that. 'Cause that's what I want. A place you can come and relax and listen to some startling new information about who you are and where we live. None of it is exactly as we've been told. So I'll give you 1 or 2 more minutes just in case. But if not, then when you hear the sound of the gong, then I'll close and say namaste. All right. Thank you, everyone. Namaste. Night, night.